All right. Well, thanks for hanging in there, guys.
Guys, we really appreciate, ladies and gentlemen, we
Yes.
really appreciate you hanging in with us.
None of your comments were up this whole time.
Like literally, we had no audio just now, and none of the comments were coming through. We just had to like reboot everything. So George says, maybe we should start typing what we think they're saying. And
That's a good one. I like that.
I think George knew that I was pissed off. When I looked over at Evo's laptop and I didn't see the mic bar moving, I was like, I'm just gonna fucking kill myself right now.
In the back of my mind too, I was wondering like, where's our chat? Like, there was nothing going on for that for a second, but you know, we were just on like the show must go on type situation.
Let's start all over again. Okay, so what started this conversation was Taiki Wakiti. As you guys probably saw here, which with no audio for quite some time. Dear God. So that picture popped up on my Twitter the other day, and I was like, okay, Taiki, go ahead and do your thing. And he was there with Rita Ora and Tessa Thompson, and I was just kind of taken back by that because I was like, there was rumors of them being in a throuple. And I just wondered how the dynamic of a throuple works. And Evo was saying that a throuple basically has to start out like a couple. It has to be 3 separate parties interested in being a couple. Or a throuple, sorry. And what that means is that these 3 people are interested from the beginning.
Yes.
In being a throuple.
Right.
So, Brianna Flynn is asking, who is that? So, were they in Utah? I don't know where they were, but
how did you get that from that picture?
I have no fucking clue, but Brianna, so Taiki Wakiti is the director of Thor Ragnarok, and he also is an actor, and he was in the movie Jojo Rabbit. In addition to that, he was in Thor Ragnarok, and he was Korg. And Korg, I said it earlier, you guys, and he was like, hi. My name is Coke. I'm starting a revolution. I didn't give out enough pamphlets.
That is my guy.
He's the rock guy when Thor goes into the Gladiator Dome and he's about to fight Hulk. And he's like, hi, my name is Coke. So yeah. So anyway, this picture came up on my feed and I was like, oh shit, look at Taiki. He doing his thing with this rubber with Rita Ora and Tessa Thompson. And Tessa Thompson, she was also in Thor Ragnarok. She was one of the Valkyrie. So I was wondering what the dynamic was like. And initially when Evo said that it was
Can you back the mic up off a little bit, like you're redlining?
So when Evo told me that it has to start off as like a regular couple, so it has to be 3 separate parties interested in being in a throuple, which I thought was really interesting because I was wondering how the hell do 3 people find their way into a throuple. Right. So we were speculating that maybe they're submerging themselves in environments that are throuple related. And then I shared a memory of one time how I randomly walked into a fucking a swingers party, and I know how I walked in. It was a private event, and what wound up happening was it was a swingers party, and the owner of the restaurant knew who I was. Like they were friends, and they were just like, yeah, go, like you can be part of, you still can eat dinner, but there's a private event. But he just failed to tell us that it was a swingers event. But listen, some of the nicest people, I was approached. I was like, no, I'm not here for that. I'm just here to eat my fish. Thanks. Anyway, so Evo and I were basically having a debate that if 2 people in a throuple were to get into an argument, is it up to the third person that is not part of the dispute, right, to then involve themselves in the dispute? Because we were kind of wondering about like what are the do's and don'ts of being in this type of dynamic. So Evo was saying that the person that's not involved in the argument or the dispute or the issue, whatever it is, should have the choice to either involve themselves or not involve themselves. And I was saying that I think that they should 100% involve themselves, because if it's for the greater good of the throuple, then I think that they have to involve themselves. Because then I was thinking about it kind of like, what if like the guy and the girl that night want to be intimate, and the other girl is the one that's having the argument with the other girl, let's say for example, and they exclude her or she excludes herself. I could see that potentially being problematic. And I feel like as a throuple, you must function like a couple, and it's up to a couple to resolve their issues regardless of who is at fault. So that's why I feel like they must. Like, we don't have a choice to not resolve our issues unless we want to be.
We don't have a choice. But at the same time, you know, we work out our differences on our own terms. And I just feel that if me and you are having an issue and we're in a throuple, the issue may not have anything to do with the third party, and so they may decide to just stay out of it for a bit. It may resolve within between us without having to get a third party involved.
Yeah, but you're making it sound like the third party is not part of the throuple.
No,
like,
but it could be. Yes, they could be part of the throuple, but it could be an argument that's just as silly as, you know, I ate your leftovers, and you know, and I got a bad habit of doing that.
Evil.
You know what I'm saying? And that's got nothing to do with them.
Okay, that is a very valid
You know what I'm saying?
point.
And so we're getting into an argument about it. I feel like there's nothing wrong with it. You left it in the fridge. It's leftovers. It's fair game. You feel like it's sacred, and we got a big problem over it. But they don't care. You know what I'm saying? So meanwhile, while we're arguing, there should be no intimacy going on.
So that is a don't you think should happen?
Yeah,
like,
I mean
that should
saying,
not happen.
Yeah, because you were saying like that could be potentially problematic. So like if me and you were arguing about leftovers, you know, then tonight, you know, you're in bed with the third party, or the third party's in bed with me. I feel like that would kind of like strike a sour chord.
I think it would be a huge problem.
Yeah, so I think you know definitely a don't would be like
no intimacy when there's a disagreement within the throuple, regardless of who the parties are. Okay, yes. I think that is a good rule of thumb. So Brianna says, first of all, what attracts people to being in a throuple? Is a certain personality type more inclined to want a polyamorous relationship? And then Edgar says, wow, need to watch the episode of HBO's Real Sex that addresses this. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So, Brianna, one thing I can tell you is that there is a big difference between a throuple and a polyamorous, right, that Evo actually pointed out to me. A throuple has to start as a throuple from the beginning. So, like, literally, 2 guys and a girl, or 2 girls and a guy, whatever the dynamic is.
3 guys or 3 girls.
Oh shit, yeah, like whatever the dynamic is, and it has to start from the beginning like that. Like they have to all meet in an environment that breeds that. Whereas polyamorous, it could already be an existing couple that then wants to add a person to their existing relationship.
Yeah, kind of like a bolt-on to something that's already.
Oh my God, Evil's talking in car terms.
I am talking in car terms.
He's like, you know, like when you want your car to sound a little bit.
We're gonna upgrade this bad boy right here.
Optimistically cynical says, I'm in a polyurethane relationship.
Oh yeah, 100% polyurethane. Metal detectors can't detect these mamma gemmas. And then that don't know, that's from Key and Peele.
It's actually a really great episode.
Yeah, search up Terry's. Key and Peele Terry's. You'll learn all about polyurethane.
It's still polyamorous relationship. So I'm not 100% certain on the exact how the dynamics are defined, but what I'm gonna say is this. So Brianna was asking, what type of person does it take to be in a throuple? And that was actually one of the questions. Like, what type of person do you think it takes to be in that type of dynamic?
That's hard to say. I mean, I can't tell you what type of person that it takes. All I could tell you would be the type of person that I feel I would be is if I were going to be in that relationship. And I think I would just have to be a very open-minded, free-spirited type of person, with just operating on a different set of values. You know, because I mean, it's not your traditional type of values that someone that's in a polyamorous relationship or a throuple relationship holds. But outside of that, I couldn't tell you like at the core, you know, what type of person that involves, because
So Brianna's saying someone craving more than one lover.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, you know, someone craving, just not your usual experiences.
I have a little bit of a different perspective on it.
Okay,
I don't disagree with that statement. Mark says someone who doesn't know what true love is. Brianna says maybe wants extra love and attention, or just fall into it and everyone likes each other, or so they say, let's do it. I look at it slightly different. I think it's very possible to love more than one person simultaneously.
I've heard that it is possible, yes.
And I think that there are people that can love multiple people at the same time, and it doesn't devalue the love for each person. I think about it like in other cultures, there are men that can marry multiple wives. And to say that maybe they value one wife less than the other, I don't really know for certain, but I do believe that there are people, because there are people that engage in these type of relationships. So I do think that they can love multiple people at the same time, and it doesn't diminish the love for either person that is in that arrangement. Because I watched an interview on the Red Talk table, and it was a throuple, and it was a guy and two girls. And the love that they expressed for their trifecta, it just sounded like two people in love, but there was just three people. So and it didn't even come from a like sexual like craving of like another partner. It was really just like, I love this girl, and then we met this girl, and we all love each other.
Yeah, I think that is largely based on preference. Like, what is it that you want in life? You know, you know, if you're the type of person that only wants to be with one person, then that type of stuff doesn't make sense to you. But if you're the type of person that, you know, believes in having multiple relationships, and you're with someone that believes in the same, then of course it's going to be peaches and cream.
I don't think it's going to be peaches and cream, because in the dynamic of a relationship, but it's not peaches and cream.
Right, but I'm saying it's peaches and cream. Like, I'm talking about in the sense that you were just explaining it. Like on the red table, there was a relationship, and they were talking about that it was the most beautiful thing, you know. For lack of, I'm not quoting you exactly what you said, but
what I'm saying is that the way that they were expressing how they loved each other. Yeah. It didn't sound as sexual as I think some people would think. Because like some of the comments are saying that, like, you know, people desiring another lover. And then Mark was saying people that don't understand true love. That is not the impression that I got at all from these three people. They just seem to truly love each other. But there was just three of them. Like, it didn't seem any different to me. Does that make sense? It sounded like I was listening to two people talk, but it was three people talk.
Right. So but see, what's interesting is that I'm going to assume that the reason that they're in this three-way dynamic is because they're getting something from one that they don't get from the other. No, there's got to be a sense of fulfillment. I don't see why. Why is it that you would? Why would you be with someone and then be with another person that is exactly the same as the person that you're with? They're
not exactly the same.
That's what I'm saying. So you're getting something different from the other person. It's a different fulfillment.
Yes, but I don't think that's why they sought out the other person.
But if you're seeking out another relationship, if you're the type of person
no, they didn't seek it. Like, okay. The person met them, and they then introduced them, and the two of them fell in love with that person.
Okay, understood. But at the same time, at the same point, somewhere in their subconscious, they were open to this. There's a part of them that was open to this, and then they opened up to it, right?
I can't. I can neither confirm nor deny that.
I mean, but in simplest terms, that's exactly what happened.
I
Okay?
guess
They opened up. Okay, let's just say they were in a relationship, just them two. Someone else came into the picture, and they said, okay, let's let that person in. Obviously, that person is giving both of them something that they're not getting from each other, because why add the same thing to something that's already existing? Like, where's the dynamic in that?
Well, because like I said previously, there are people that can love more than one person. So
No.
it doesn't matter if it's multiplicity or if it's singular.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the reason that happened is because the third dynamic is giving each one of them something that they're not getting from each other.
And then you said, why add the same thing? Like, why add this? Like, why would you seek out the same thing?
Yeah, but I'm saying that because when I said that, you're like, no, that's not necessarily true. I said that, of course it's true, because why would you just add the same thing? There has to be a different dynamic.
But what I'm saying, it's very plausible that the dynamic is maybe the same. That those two people can just love that person, regardless if they're getting the same thing from them. It's about love. Like, how many times have you heard people in a relationship end the relationship and then kind of fall into another relationship with another person that's very much like their past relationship or their ex?
They could be very much so, but there's still a different dynamic about it. It's like, why would you? Okay, so here's a great example. Here's a great example.
I'm gonna disagree because
here's a great example.
I know some people that literally end up with somebody that's exactly like their ex.
Okay, but they don't end up with them twice. They're not with their ex and then with the new person at the same time. This is what I'm saying to you.
Yeah, but they're getting the same thing.
No, but they're not getting it twice at the same time. Okay.
Okay, so but that's still possible.
No, you're not going to be in a three-way relationship with someone who's exactly like the person that you are, that you're with currently. Okay, that's like those complexes that they have all the houses that are built the same. So you buy one house, and then you buy the next house that's exactly the same just for yourself. What's the point?
You want more than one.
Huh?
You maybe want more than one.
So you're going to buy the same exact house.
There are people that, Evo, when I love a shirt, I'll buy two of them.
But you're not okay. A shirt is like, really, you're buying two of them. You're buying two to have an extra one.
Yeah, but you're giving me a metaphor of a house.
Because a house is a very big commitment.
Okay, great.
Okay, a shirt is not.
I've bought so many Honda Accords.
Okay,
I love them all the same.
Okay, but you didn't own them at the same time.
If I could afford it, I would.
You keep missing the point. No, and they wouldn't be the same because they were different years.
I know. I'm just messing with you, but I'm just saying.
I feel like you're like purposely dodging my point to make your point.
I just think that we see things differently, which is totally fine. But at the same time, what we are speaking is purely hypothetical because we have no clue.
Allegedly.
Okay, so I'm gonna read some comments, and George says, someone that has trust and affection issues, they choose to be with two people just in case one hurts them and they have another person that they can love them.
There you go.
That's an interesting dynamic.
Extra shirt. In case one gets messed up, you have another one.
I actually do that because I learned that I have a pair of sweatpants that I love and they're on their last leg and the brand doesn't make them anymore and I'm devastated. I'm like, what am I going to do without these sweatpants? And then Edgar says Mormons and those who practice Hinduism are famous for practicing polygamy. And then Brianna says, is it Brianna or Brianna? I always mess this name up. True, Nigerian tribes I know do this. Nigerians practice a Muslim style of polygamy that is rare. It's hard to have convos like this without offending people these days. I agree. And then Brianna saying that she agrees with you. I've heard of people who are in a relationship and had another person who stimulates what the couple lacks to be emotional or physical intimacy. Therefore, and then Edgar says, therefore, polyurethane relationship.
Polygamous. What?
Yeah. Whatever.
Okay, yeah.
But so Edgar is
polygamous.
Yeah, is referring to Brianna's comment.
Yes.
So our last part of this was two parts. One is the longevity of a relationship like this, and then the second part was, do we feel like this dynamic happens more amongst two women and a man, two men and a woman, three women, 3 men. I personally have seen a good amount of 2 men and women and 2 women and a man. I will say though, I have seen a couple, like, just because what I've seen, more women, 2 women with a man.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think throughout history that's something that we've seen more often, even in not like people, threesomes, people just
even in
hooking
nature.
up. Yeah.
And it's the male has multiple partners.
Yes. And I do think that the dynamic of 2 women and a man can happen more easily because women, our femininity will allow us to look at another female and just true admiration of a woman and look at her beauty and just be in awe of her body. I'm sorry, I'm just laughing right now because our cat is back there. I don't know what he's doing, but he's being a mother trucker right now. Is. So we were wondering the dynamic between 2 men, because if it's 3 men, then I would assume that all 3 of them are gay, or maybe one is bisexual, whatever the case may be. So the 3 men are engaging in sexual activities that would involve how men sexually engage with each other. But when there's 2 men and a woman, I wonder, is it possible that one of the men could be straight? Because I wonder about because 2 men can penetrate each other, whereas 2 women, they can't penetrate each other unless there is some sort of sex toy involved. But by design, 2 men can penetrate each other. So I'm wondering, is it possible? Do you think it's possible?
So you're saying a throuple with a straight man, not even need to gender or sexualize the woman, but then a either gay man or a
bisexual or
queer or just
open to that
dynamic where he's just not hetero.
Yes.
Right? You're saying that dynamic.
I wonder if that's possible.
Interesting. I don't think so, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Because a heterosexual man will not accept that. It's just not a sexual preference of a heterosexual man to be in a situation where the other man that's involved is not heterosexual as well.
Okay, so do you think it's possible that say the dynamic is 2 women and a man? Do you think that both of the women are gay or bisexual?
I think that women are a little bit more laxed with that topic than men are. I think men have more of an ego to defend.
That I would agree with, Evo.
Yes.
I do agree that men definitely do have more of an ego to defend when it comes to their sexuality.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I think about a lot. No, I don't think about this a lot. One of the things I think about when regarding this conversation is Oberyn Martell from Game of Thrones. Do you remember him?
That was the what he had the wife, right?
He had the wife, and he also engaged in sexual intercourse with men.
Yes, and they were very comfortable with their relationship.
Completely. Like she was.
Yeah, like I really liked them as a couple.
Loved her, and he bore children with her. Yes. But but it didn't diminish his manliness by like an ounce.
No, I understand. Yes, you're absolutely right.
So I do feel like men engaging in sexual intercourse with other men, but potentially doesn't mean that they're 100% gay. They could be also bisexual. I think it's frowned upon now.
Yeah, I'm speaking in today's age.
But I personally don't, like, I wouldn't look at a man that engaged in sex with another man that still engaged in sex with women. I wouldn't look at that man as less than. That's me personally.
So it's unfortunate that we live in this day and age where if I'm a straight man and I find out that another straight man that I know was in a sexual encounter with a woman and another man who's not straight, I may second guess my friend's sexual preference.
Why?
Because most heterosexual men won't put themselves in that situation.
Okay.
Just so that their sexual preference and their ego there's no question.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it sucks and it's stupid, but it does exist that a man who's
Hi.
really.
Oh, well, he's here.
Wow. Well, hello there. A heterosexual man who may be considered not heterosexual at some point it's kind of like a stab at their manhood. Amongst other heterosexual men. You understand? Like,
okay.
Yeah, like heterosexual men can be very I'm trying to be very delicate with the words that I'm using here.
Why?
Just cause I mean, heterosexual men can be very
Excuse me 1 second.
hard on other heterosexual men when it comes to like accusing them of not being heterosexual.
And I would agree.
Yeah.
I'm just going to read some comments. And Mr. Jones, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for joining us. And then Brianna says, it depends if all three are in the bed or if they take turns 2 at a time. And then Edgar says, movie, Sex, Lies, and Videotape, 1989. So I'm assuming that... Oh, wait a second. Brianna's asking, can 3 people be married and 2 take one's name?
It depends it depends if it's legal and wherever you're getting married.
I honestly have no clue.
I would think so. I would think
that's actually a really great question.
I would think in places where it is like where a man can marry multiple women, that they all take the same last name. Totally guessing. It's just just a guess. But I would think like if it was, let's just say if it was legal here in New Jersey, right? We would think that they would all take the same last name so that there's one unified name under the family. Or if, you could choose to like either not take the last name or hyphenate as we do in today's society when it comes to being married. Right? I don't think it would be any different. Why would it be?
I honestly, Evil, I don't know the answer to that question.
I'm purely speculating.
It's pure speculation. Okay, so we talked a little bit about that.
Great question, though.
I know that's a really great question. Yeah. And then so like let's answer this last question. Not that we know the answer to this, because it's a couple minutes to 9. So obviously we're gonna go a little later today because
we have to cut out the first 25 minutes of our
yeah. Do you think that there's longevity in a relationship like this?
I would like to think yes.
Okay. Why?
Because of the exception to the rule. I would like to think that every throuple relationship has, not every, but I want to say that there are throuple relationships that strive to be that relationship that grow old together. That
they defy the odds?
They defy the odds, yeah. I want to say that I feel like that might be like a core value in some throuple relationships to really make it above and beyond. Like that's a goal for a lot of people when they get into relationships, to have like that long lasting relationship, to find that one person and grow old together. So yeah, I would like to think that happens.
So before I answer this question, before I answer this, he's over here on this side. I asked our son Mateo to come and get our cat who is currently sitting on our keyboard right now.
That's disrespectful.
Yeah, mad disrespectful.
Let's go. Disrespectful mother trucker.
Thank you, Mateo.
He's probably mad because he can't get in your room and sit on your keyboard.
All right, everybody say the bye. Oh no.
No, can you go again? Now you're gonna take both of them. Go. Okay, so as you were speaking, Mateo, you're gonna have to come and get him too. Now our other cat has come down to the basement. It's a party now, because he's about to jump up on Evo. So, as you were talking about a throuple wanting to defy the odds in a relationship, I'm gonna tell you what immediately I thought about. On my most recent girls trip, I literally said to my girlfriends, I said, I could see the benefit in having sister wives because I cooked breakfast for everybody and then I went to go use the bathroom. I came out, the kitchen was clean. Everything was put away. Everybody had served themselves And I was like, I didn't even have to say anything. And then my one friend, Christina, was just like, yeah, we know what the deal is. Like, you cook, we clean, we serve. Like, and when I say clean, like, all the pots were put away, all the dishes were washed. Like, it was done to the T. Even to the fact of, like, there was some food left over and it was stored and put in the refrigerator while I was in the bathroom. And I was maybe in the bathroom for 10 minutes. And I said to myself, I could see the benefit in having that dynamic where...
Yeah. I mean, more hands on deck.
Oh, my God. I thought that was so amazing. We all laughed about it really hard because we were just like,
You know what? I never thought about it like that.
It was honestly evil. It was beautiful.
That actually sounds like a great dynamic if everybody's on board, with that whole situation.
So there was one time that I watched the show, and I want to say that it was maybe like on Lifetime or something like that. Don't quote me on this, okay? And it was a show about a guy who had 3 wives. And the 3 wives, they loved each other, the 3 wives. The wives didn't engage in any sexual contact with each other. They shared the husband, but the support that the wives gave each other was amazing. The way that the wives would help each other with their children. Like, one of them was a stay-at-home mom. Mm-hmm. So that was the one that, like, picked up the kids and made breakfast in the morning. And then the other 2, one was like a part-time career woman, and then the other one was like a full-time career woman. And then, like, they would have conversations where, like, one wife would be like, you need help with this? Like, I'll help you cook, or, do you need help financially? Or, like, they would have these conversations, like, how they would just support each other. And I thought that shit was amazing because it would be interesting because there would be times that the husband would walk in and 3 wives would be like, da, 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 and the husband would just be like, okay, I'm going to be like over here. And the wives would be like, yeah.
I could see that.
Fucking, we'll deal with you later.
I can see that. I mean, especially if they became like kind of like best friends.
Yeah, they were literally sister wives, is what they were. Like, forget even the wife part. They were like sisters. They functioned like family, and they were family because their children biologically were brother and sister.
Interesting.
And I just thought the dynamic was like, honestly I thought it was quite beautiful.
That's an interesting dynamic because as a kid, you live with your mom and your stepmom.
Yeah. Or your stepmoms.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Mr. Jones says, yeah, they all have to love each other for that to work. One team. And listen, I would not mind another wife because there are times that, like, you and I, we share responsibilities. And there's times where me and Eva look at each other. I'm like, whose turn is it?
Are we taking applications? Like, what's
I'm just saying, like,
I'm not aware of this.
Like the idea of it, like, because I think about there's times that you and I are like exhausted from a day, and
absolutely.
we look at each other and we're like,
there would be nothing better than to have a
whole nother set of hands,
human being to be like to do what we do. Yes.
Anyway, so yeah, that topic for me is so interesting because, like, there's so many like I told you, I've never met anyone in throuple, but I met someone that was polyamorous, someone that was in an existing relationship that invited another person into their relationship, and it seemed to be working pretty well. And I met all parties. And hi, Melissa, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us tonight. So our next topic for the night is something that popped up that I saw on TikTok that I was like really kind of interested in because of how it played into our life. So I came across a TikTok the other day of a gentleman talking about his experience in the gym and how he was working out and how a woman approached him. And the woman was like, hey, I see that you can lift a lot of weights. You seem really strong. And then the guy was like, yeah. She was like, do you think you could pick me up tonight at 6:00? And the guy was like, okay. And she was like, great, give me your phone. He like hands her his phone. She puts her phone number in his phone. She's like, my name is Sarah. I'll see you tonight at 6:00. And the guy was telling his experience into like his phone in the car. And he was just like, and the way he was telling, he was like, and she just like took control of that shit. And he was like, and I had 0 complaints. So I was wondering, again, that dynamic, a woman approaching a man. And the reason why I was so struck by it was because I approached Evo. And I'm all for that. I'm all for a woman approaching a man. I've never been shy about that. I've literally I want to say I probably approached every man that I've ever like dated.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I mean, I feel like it takes a particular type of man to appreciate a woman like that. You know, there's
So tell me what type of man that is, because you and I had a conversation and you said that the majority of your relationships were started off by a woman approaching you.
Yeah, and so like so there's a saying that goes, you know, aside every great man, there's a great woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you're a strong man, I think that a strong woman compliments you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so it takes. I feel this is just my personal opinion. I feel like it takes that type of a man to appreciate a woman like that, to be able to recognize, like, okay, here's a strong woman. I could use a woman like this to by my side. You know, but not all men, you know, want that. Not all men can appreciate that. Some men, you know, don't want a woman that has any strength. They want a woman to be like, you know, yield and timid and, you know, not speak up or say anything.
Yeah, like the men on TikTok that tell me I shouldn't talk about hip hop.
Yeah, or they want to talk all this crap behind a blank profile.
I literally had a guy tell me girls talking about hip hop. I was like, you heard me though, buddy, though, right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, sometimes, you know, as a man, you know, you need some support, you know, and who better than to be able to, like, you know, get it from, you know, your wife or your woman, you know?
So, hang on one second, because I have a note that I want to reflect upon. So, one of my notes is confidence. So, I think that there has to be confidence on both ends on both parties. I think the woman has to be very confident to approach a man.
Right.
And I think a man has to be very confident to be accepting of a woman approaching him. Because you and I spoke earlier about a man's ego, and where I think a woman taking that move or making that move could potentially be like a slight against a man's ego. Because men, you know, like what society says men should approach women, or,
right,
you know, men should be taking that step. So you and I were talking about that, and you were saying that you thought that when a woman approaches a man, that the chances of that interaction, you were saying that interaction is more likely to follow through because the woman approaches the man. So I want you to elaborate as to what you said to me, why you think that it'll, because like I was like, well, why do you, like, why?
So what I was saying was that I feel that when a woman approaches a man, that the possibility of the relation, of it turning into a relationship with longevity has a higher probability than it does when a man approaches a woman. And I say this because when a man approaches a woman, and I don't want to put a percentage on it, but the vast majority of those interactions of a man approaches a woman are primarily based on a man wanting to sleep with the woman. All right, that's the man's first initial reaction when he approaches a woman. And not to say that there's men out there that don't approach women just on this sheer
premise of like getting to know them.
But it's not that's not the typical case. And what's sad is that a lot of men don't really know how they feel about a woman until they actually sleep with them. You know, a lot of men, just because they have this instinctual desire to want to mate with women, or just mate, period, that they'll almost say anything to a woman to get to that point. And then they don't find out how they truly feel about it until they got that out the way. And then now they're left with the actual person. You know what I mean? As to where when a woman approaches a man, that's typically not their first intent is to sleep with a man. It's to get to know them. Like, you know, he's a good looking man. I wonder what he does. I wonder what's his family like. You know, I wonder what his personality like. So they have true intentions on getting to know the person. And a man, that's not the case with a man. So I feel like when a woman approaches a man, she's already decided that she wants to know this man. She wants to get to know who he is as a person. As it were, at the other end, it's like a man approaches a woman, and the woman's like, "Oh, okay, well, he's good looking. Well, I guess, what do we got here? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then now she has to like decide whether she wants to get to know this man, and then kind of like just maybe get a shitstorm. And I just feel like when you approach a situation and on a woman's side like that, the outcome is just a lot different.
I would agree. But Eva, when I first saw you, I was trying to sleep with you.
God damn it. Gina, just tear down my whole thesis. Why don't you? Just tear that shit down to the floor.
Yo, from the rip, I was like, him? No, I'm just joking. I literally just thought that you were very attractive, and I thought that there was something mysterious about you, and I wanted to get to know you. That was that was legit what it was.
Let's not be mistaken that you definitely, I definitely had to wait a while before that happened.
Yeah.
So you did get to know me.
I did, but that was also something that I was very avid about, and I based that off of my past experiences.
But you definitely wanted to have my babies, didn't you?
Oh, TMI. And Melissa says, I told Christian where he was taking me for my birthday. So she's saying that she approached her current husband. Exactly. So I do think that there's a certain level of confidence there.
And just so that we're clear, right? All of my relationships, all of my actual relationships that have been over a year, all of those females approached me.
I literally just had this conversation with Mateo. You mean all of those women?
They're females. Before they're women, they're females.
Okay.
And when they approached me, they weren't women. So they were females.
Okay. I don't like being addressed as a female.
Why not? I'm a male. You're a female.
Okay, so you just opened up a can of worms.
All right.
Here we go.
Let's
we're a song about it. Like to hear. Here it go.
Here we go.
Mateo and I last night were having a conversation about addressing a woman as a female, and I said to him that when you're regarding a woman as a female, even though that's what she may be, it comes off as you are speaking about her less than what she is. And I'll give you a perfect example of how I gave him a description of how, because Mateo was like saying to me, and my son was saying, I don't understand, but they are female. And that's literally what you just said. But she is a female.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you why this happens.
Okay, wait.
Oh, you're not finished?
I'm not done. Sorry. And then I said to him, okay, so you're a little Hispanic boy. If you walked into a room and I said, hey, little Hispanic boy, is that the way I should address you, even though you are a little Hispanic boy? Because you're a little Hispanic boy before anything.
No, he's a male before anything.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, should I address him like that? Should I address him as a little Hispanic boy?
I think that's very...
I should probably say, hey, young man. I wouldn't say, hey, excuse me, male.
Well... Not when you're addressing him personally, but when you're describing him as a person,
I would say that I would say
you can describe him as a male. Now, Mateo,
Eva, when
hold on for a second, okay? Because I I get what you're saying, but you have to understand, Mateo doesn't really know any women.
I get that.
So
that's why we were having the conversation. I can understand
why he would address them as females, right?
But you just did it,
and then when I was dating these females. They were not women.
What do you mean they weren't women?
Weren't women. These weren't women that I was dating.
How were they not women?
Because I was a young adult.
How are they not women?
Because they were not women. They were.
Like, they're either women or they're young women.
Okay.
Or they're little girls.
My definition of a man or a woman, okay, is when you're taking care of yourself. Okay, when you can provide for yourself, okay, and take care of yourself. Like I believe you were a woman at a very young age.
Okay, so right? do you call Mateo a young male?
Huh?
You call Mateo a young male?
You don't want to know what I call Mateo.
I'm fucking done.
But
when you're referring to a young man, let's say one of your friend's sons, do you say, He's a young male.
I'm calling him a kid.
Okay, but do you call him a young male?
Do
you address any young man as a male? The only time you describe let me just explain to you the only time I hear the description of male or female. It's in two different instances. It's when a police officer is receiving a description of a person
I was thinking
that they're in pursuit. Yeah. It's a young male in his 30s. Yeah. And the only other time I hear that sort of description of a sex is when it is describing an animal. She's a female cat. It's a male cat. It's a male dog. It's a female dog. You do not.
I get what you're saying.
Okay, so
I get what you're saying, and women don't address men as male.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly. So you should, period, not call a woman a female. Should always be. It should always be. She was a woman, a young girl.
I see what you're saying. Never looked at it like that.
Yeah.
But I get it.
So, but this was the same conversation that Mateo and I had last night. And in addition
it didn't sound like you guys were. It didn't sound like he was seeing what you were.
He wasn't, and he did. We went back and forth for quite a while. But I will say this: in the end, what I said to him was, I said, "Does it affect you in any way to change your verbiage to woman? Does it do anything to you? Does it affect you?" And he goes, "No." I go, "Then what's the difference? If a woman is asking you to address her as such, and it doesn't affect you in any way, and that sex is asking you to address them as such, please do so."
Okay.
Because that is just like how potentially a person who is transgender wants to be called transgender, or wants to be called a woman, or wants to be called a man.
Let me rephrase what I said. All of the girls that approached me in my relationships, all of the relationships that ever lasted over a year were girls that I was approached by. Mm-hmm. Because that's just the type of person that I am. Like I can appreciate, and I'm complimented. I feel like a strong girl or woman in my life has been nothing but a compliment for me.
Yeah. Touching back real quick on something that I thought about. We were talking about the dynamic of a throuple, and you were talking about a heterosexual male potentially would not want to be involved with another man who is identifies as either bisexual or gay. Speculation, though. I know. This was just like a speculation conversation. And you were saying that it could potentially be something of an ego thing for a man, that not to be associated with in a sexual encounter with a man, a heterosexual man with a man who doesn't identify as heterosexual.
Yeah, heterosexual men are very sensitive about that.
Okay, so there was something I wanted to add previously that I didn't, that you just brought to my memory. Was one of the things that I found so attractive about you was your confidence as a heterosexual man when you were approached by men who were not heterosexual.
Oh yeah.
You were one of those men that I watched many gay men approach you, and you literally, it rolled off your back like water. You would just be like, "Nah, man, thank you. That's, I'm not, that's not,
You know what's funny, when you were talking
and you would just be like, "Nah, I'm cool, bro." Like, it was never like, I
never got offended. I never got offended. It never made me angry. And some gay men were very
a little bit more persistent
and aggressive, and still it never offended me, unless they tried to get like
physical
or touchy-feely. But why? Because
you were confident, Evo.
I'm confident, and I just know that when you like something, you try your best to pursue it.
Yes.
And you try your best shot.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And
so I feel
I'm almost like, it's, I don't know if I call it flattering, but it's flattering. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if two sexes find you attractive, then bro, you got it going on. So
most men won't think that, though.
Okay, but you are confident in that, where I've never seen you ever be bothered by that, and I found that so attractive because you never were confrontational, and I love that about you, because I remember then I knew that there were certain environments that I could bring you in that it would never be problematic. Prime example, company that I used to work for, they held an amazing show where there was a lot of display of gay men in like almost no clothing, and it was one of the best shows that you and I saw. Don't you remember what show I'm talking about? And I remember us watching the show, and it was just like we were watching art. Whereas I think a man who is like really strong about his heterosexualness, that they'd be bothered by that.
Yeah, I actually find it I find gay men very interesting in the aspect of that there's something so different about them, but yet so colorful and beautiful.
Yeah.
That I don't understand. That it's intriguing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I will say that I once upon a time worked with a lot of gay men, and any gay man that I've ever worked with that has met you literally was like, if you don't want him, I'll take him. Tell me where to sign.
I'll tell you know what's funny, what I find even more interesting is a gay man that doesn't show any signs of being gay.
What do you mean by that?
Like, for example, like just like a man who acts like a man. It's just like there's nothing flamboyant about him, because you know some gay men can be flamboyant, and you can just tell by looking.
Well, that's
at him.
not that doesn't mean that. Okay, hang on a second.
Am I saying it wrong?
I don't think you're saying it wrong, but I just want you to tread carefully.
Yeah, well, I mean, because you know that I may be describing it.
Yeah,
incorrectly.
I'm a gay man who is more flamboyant doesn't necessarily mean that is an attribute of being gay. No,
it's not. No, but what I'm saying is that it's kind of like it's like something that you can tell by the way someone acts that their sexual preference is XYZ.
Okay,
right?
I understand that.
Right. So what I find more intriguing is someone that doesn't show those signs, but yet they are. You know what I mean? And that to me is very intriguing.
Yeah, like Oberyn Martell from Game of Thrones. He was a motherfucking G.
Yeah.
And that he loved men, he loved women, he didn't give a shit.
Yeah, it's a dynamic that exists within a man that I just don't understand. I have no idea what it's like. And I feel like that, you know, as humans, we're curious to the things that we don't understand, and so it's just
always.
I'm very curious by it.
So we talked a lot about like women approaching men, and I just think it's a confidence thing, and I think it's a confidence thing on both parties. But I will say this, as a woman that has approached literally almost every man that I've ever been in, like, you know, in a relationship with. When I see something that I want, I'm not waiting. There's no waiting. And that literally goes with almost anything in my life. And you know that about me, Evo. When I want something, I go and get it.
Yes, you do.
And I waste no time.
No, you don't.
So I apply that same factor to a man that I'm interested in. Because for me, I look at it like, what do I got to lose? Nothing. Whether he says yes or whether he says no, it's not going to change who I am as a person.
But it's different. There is a difference when a woman approaches a man when a man approaches a woman, and the difference.
Oh yeah.
The difference is that it's less likely for a woman to approach a man. So when it does happen, a man is very open to it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, and so where women get approached by so many men that if there isn't something striking from the first few seconds of it, a man is likely to get rejected.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And so there's that. But difference.
I do believe that there are some women that do not believe in ever approaching a man. And Absolutely. They are very big on like chivalry, like a man must approach me, a man must ask me out. And listen, all the power to you.
Do you, boo boo?
Right?
but
I feel like that girl's like, I ain't got time for that.
Yeah.
Like
I got a lot of respect for women that go out there and and they go for what they want.
So you were just saying a man approaching a woman, and women get approached a lot by men, and that actually kind of rolls us into our next topic. And we decided for our top 5 for tonight that we were going to do top 5 cheesiest pickup lines, because we were thinking about like how all these dynamics work and like how people potentially would approach a person that they're interested in. And there are times that when a guy approaches a girl, and generally it's a guy that approaches a girl, and they give them some sort of like cheesy pickup line. I personally think the best way to approach a woman is just like, I know this sounds super cliche, but it's literally just to be who you are. Like, literally just to be like, hi, my name is such and such, and I saw you from across the room, or whatever the hell it is, and I want to come over here and talk to you. Because I think if there's less, in my opinion, if there's less of a facade about it, the woman feels like, okay, this guy is, just trying to show me who he is, or, whatever the case is, and I'm going to choose whether or not to listen to this. But when they come to you with like some like cheesy ass pickup line,
and they do happen a lot. Like that's just that's why they call them cheesy pickup lines, because them shits be spewing out like cheese.
Oh, so
just ooze out.
So
like
Brianna says, "Oh my god."
Cheese.
She says, "Oh my god, I have to share the strangest pickup line I was ever told. Please do so." As we get into our top 5 for tonight.
I'm sorry. This is interesting. I have to show this to you. I've never seen this before. You see this? Look.
Oh yeah, you can share camera with them. You can invite them into the.
I did not know that. So on the Facebook chat, Melissa wants to bring.
No. That's just an option.
So how does that work?
We can just invite them to the live.
Like we can see them.
Yes.
On the live.
Yeah.
Whoa! I didn't even know you could do that. That's awesome.
And then Melissa says, "Hey, yo, ma. Let me talk to you." And, okay, so Brianna says, I was at a college house party, and a guy who was lit spoke into my ear and said, "I just had a vision of everyone watching a movie, but me and you weren't watching the movie. You feel me?"
What? Okay. That's interesting.
Oh, how'd that go?
Yeah, really. Tell me, please. I'd like inquiring minds would like to know.
I would love to know how that interaction went. Did you just look at him like, what did you say? I would have just like, it would have been so hard for me not to laugh at that. Because I'd have been like, how long did you think about that? How many hours did it take you to think of that? I'm mean. I could be so mean. It's so bad.
Well, you're cut from a different cloth. So.
So George says, haha, that's smooth.
Well, let's get into some of these real smooth pickup lines.
Oh wait. So here. Brianna says, nah, he was trying to do the dirty. I just looked at him and said, no.
As most men are.
And then Mr. Jones says, "Hey, I know you from somewhere." Oh yeah, that's right, my dreams.
Ooh, that's kind of nice. I like that.
That was actually kind of cute.
Yeah, I kind of like
so that. Okay, so before people start chiming in,
yeah,
but I continue to share what they are. So our top 5 for tonight. Top 5 cheesiest pickup lines. Starting off with number 5. Set us off for the night, Evo.
Number 5 is. And I feel like if you haven't heard this, then you need to go figure something. You need to go figure it out yourself, because this has been all over the place, all right? Your father must be a thief because he stole the stars from the skies and put them in your eyes.
Aw, that one's really cute, though.
Yeah, you think so? If somebody came up to you, like, in this day and age and said that to you, you'd probably be like, bro, really?
Okay.
Well, you, maybe not you.
Yeah, I would potentially.
Because you're not cold like that.
Yeah. I would okay. Because that is so, it comes from like a warm place. Yeah. I would potentially be like, all right, bro, that was cute.
I just feel like you give anybody an A for effort, but we'll still like kind of like let them down like softly.
Unless it's stupid. If it's stupid, Evo.
Yeah.
Or if it's a, hey, yo, ma, let me holler at you real quick.
Well, no, I know you, but you appreciate creative effort. Like, there's got to be some creativity behind it. Yeah, when I was
in Miami this past weekend, I got a couple of those, hey, yo, ma.
Yeah.
And I've said this in the past live, how I handle those situations. I act like I'm deaf. And blind. Oh, wow. I just keep walking.
Deaf and blind.
I literally can't hear you. I can't speak, and I don't see you. Like you're invisible. Like I walk right through you. Like you're not even there.
Like you one of the twins from the Matrix.
Yes, the ghost twins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the ghost twins.
I literally just go right through you.
That's funny.
I thought that one was so cute. So, Brianna says, "Are you from Tennessee? Cause you're the only one."
The only 10 I see.
Oh.
I love how you guys are like really joining in on this.
Oh my
list.
god! But I think that's so cute.
Yeah, that is a good one. That is a good one. So let's go to number 4, right?
Okay.
So number 4 is, are you tired? Because you've been running through my mind all day.
That is one. Yeah. The Price is Right. I've actually never heard that one before.
I feel like that you.
No, I've heard it before, but like no one's ever approached me and ever said
I
that
feel like
before.
you're definitely getting rejected with this one. This is like a for sure rejection. If you say this to a girl, she has to be living under a rock all her life to like be impressed by this.
And that would be one of those that would be one of those where I would come back with like some funny ass joke. I was like, was I running on a treadmill?
Yeah.
Was I running in the park? Where was I running?
Like, I actually broke my ankle in track. I don't run.
My left leg doesn't actually work.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
That's a fake leg.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you could run with a fake leg, but I would say something stupid like that.
You would. You definitely would. All right. So, but these get better, right? So coming in at number 3.
Wait a second.
What?
Christina Kelly, and thank you for joining the stream. She says, do you have mirrors in your panties? Wait, because I could see myself in there.
Ooh,
Oh,
I like that, Christina.
Of course you would.
That's smooth.
Is that really? I think that's disgusting.
I mean, it is, but it isn't if you're a freak.
You know what? I'm not gonna comment on that. I'm not gonna.
Listen, if he's good looking and you're a freak, that might work. That might work.
Do you have mirrors in your panties?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I would roll my eyes so hard at that. Like one of my eyes would be like up in my like the top of my lid.
Listen.
And Brianna says, "Do you guys know that song by the Gap Band? You dropped a bomb on me." Yes, I do know that. I do know that one.
No, I don't know that one.
Wait.
Maybe if I heard it. I don't know about
I
the title.
hear it in my head, but it's not a song that I know like I can hear it in my head. Is it, you know what I'm saying?
I don't want to sing it because I don't want to be wrong.
Christina, I just want to say that that's the funniest shit that I've ever heard. And Mr. Jones says, "Do you believe in love at first sight, or should I walk by again? You dropped the bomb on me, baby."
Yeah, I think that's the song. I have it in my head.
But I have heard the one that Mr. Jones is saying, "Do you believe in love at first sight, or should I walk by again?" I've heard that one before.
So have I.
Okay,
But
so that was number 4. You've been running through my mind all day.
Here's one that I don't think that you guys have heard before.
And
right? ladies, thank you. So it starts off by you asking a person the question, do you like Legos? And typically, what are you gonna say?
Actually, I love Legos.
I love Legos. So why don't we build a relationship together?
Oh. And I'd be like this, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang.
I actually like that one.
I think that's really cute.
That was a good one.
I'd be like, are you taking me to the Lego store now?
Yeah, we are. We're going to go to FAO Schwartz and we're going to build a fucking castle.
No, there's a Lego store.
I mean, and there's a Lego store and they have like a whole Lego section at FAO Schwartz.
Is that store even? They reopened it, but
They
do you know for certain if there's a Lego section in there?
Well, the last time I went, they had it.
Well, we went the last time you went. We went together, and I don't remember there being a Lego section.
It's Legos. If there's a toy store, it has to have Legos.
So Brianna says, "LOL, do you have any more, Christina?" And Christina, we loved it. She says, "That's my best one. I can't top it."
she came in guns blazing.
I have some friends that are single, and one day I'm gonna be like, "Yo, bro, I got this line for you. Go ahead and go use that."
Well, you know what?
Oh look, George says no Lego section anymore. You see, I told you. That's why I was like, "Are you sure that there's a Lego section?"
Just burn the place down.
Mr. Jones says, if you were Transformers, you'd be Optimus Prime. Yeah. Yo, Transformers, roll out.
All right. So
wait, that was number 3?
That was number 3. Right?
Oh, I know the next two.
Yeah.
I really like
Yeah.
the next two.
So coming in at number 2 is, are you from Australia? Because you meet all my qualifications.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love koalas.
I know you do.
If a guy came up and said that to me, I would be like, oh, I mean, all your qualifications? I would melt.
Like, bro, if you pull out some bamboo right now, it's a wrap.
Koalas don't eat bamboo. Those are pandas. I love you.
Oh, shit, you're right. Damn, what do koalas eat? What do they eat?
I just think that they eat leaves, Evo, but they
No,
don't eat bamboo.
they got to eat a specific type of leaf.
More than likely,
Or
yes.
is it just pandas?
And it's probably native to Australia.
I just fucked that shit all up.
It's pandas that eat
damn it.
bamboo.
You see that I'm not. This was why I suck at one-liners or the pickup lines.
George says, read that, Evo.
Are you from Australia? Because you need to go down under. Ooh, I like that.
Of course you like these little sexual ones.
Of course I like that. You know why? Because I feel like that's something that, of course, it's not going to work as a pickup line, but you may be able to get off with like your significant other as a funny little joke to like start something up.
You mean like a person that you've been with for a long time?
Yeah, just to fuck around with.
Oh, Mr. Jones says eucalyptus. Thank you.
All right, there you go.
Evo said bamboo.
Go bamboo.
Fucking the bears
eucalyptus,
up. Koala bears, panda bear.
bonbons, and all that good stuff.
Evil's like, it's a bear. Who gives a shit?
Who care? No, that's we care. We all care. We love animals. All right.
Is this number 1?
Coming in at number 1. Strong.
Shit got muscles.
Shit got muscles. All right. I really like this one. And this one, it goes, do you like raisins?
I don't like raisins.
You don't like raisins? Well, how do you feel about a date?
How about prunes?
No, man. No. That's like the shit went right over your head.
Oh my God.
What? That's a good deflector.
Hang on a second.
That's a great deflector. Like if you really like, if somebody pitched that to you and you were like, nah, nigga, how about some prunes?
Prunes. Grandma, drink your prune juice. Christina is dropping the dimes today. She just said koalas are marsupials.
What?
Okay. I only know of at the top of my dome, I only know 2 marsupials, which are kangaroos and possums. Possums are the only marsupials on the northern continent. Why did I not know that koalas were marsupials?
I had no idea, and I love animals.
Christina, where would we be without you on this?
Yes.
Because I'd be lost.
Thank you for that wonderful information.
How about some prunes so we can...
So we can get regular. Yo, George. Bro, what are you doing? Yo, George is on one tonight, boy. You know what's funny, right? So, wait.
I have tears in my eyes right now.
So
I had to move my mic away.
So wait, so a little insight on George. George used to be a club promoter. So George, he's
probably heard it all.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love prunes.
He used to work. Funny story is like once I got to know George, I found out he used to work a lot of the clubs I used to go to.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Whoa, that made my life. I'm about to tweet that. After we get off this live, I'm tweeting that shit. Yo, how about some food so we can get regular? Have a party up in this bitch. Woo!
That should have been number 1 right there. Right? Thank you, George. We appreciate that.
Oh, Mr. Jones said, don't forget about the wombats. I'm assuming he's regarding the marsupials.
Yeah.
I'm so done right now. That hurt my face. That was great. George, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
So since we're going to go a little bit longer tonight, there was actually something that I said if we had time we could talk about this. You know what I'm talking about?
We just refresh my memory because
the space thing.
Oh, you want to talk about that?
I said if we had time, and we have time because we're gonna go a little bit over.
All right.
So we're totally switching gears. This was something that we weren't sure if we were gonna have time for, and we'll go like an extra 15 minutes because you couldn't hear us for the first fucking.
Well, I mean, I feel like Did we? Okay, we got time. Okay, great.
Yeah,
So
'cause it's 9:30. So we'll go like an extra 15.
yeah, this is actually very exciting for me. This is more like my wheelhouse.
This is Evo. I want to just tell you how many times Evo and I discuss what we're gonna talk about on the live, and I go, "What do you got?" And he tells me all the stuff, and I go, "No, we can't,
we can't talk about
we can't talk about that." I'd be like, "Evo, that there's nothing funny about that, Evo."
I'm like, do you know that they've created microbots that can go inside a human body and restructure the DNA of a person and make it so that they become immortal? You're like, what?
You know where microbots are from, right?
Yes.
Big Hero 6.
Big Hero 6.
Oh my
yeah.
God, Hiro Humada.
Yeah.
I love him. Okay, I digress.
All
But
right.
go ahead, please.
So, in
and totally
Yeah.
and a totally different a chain of events. Please, I found this very interesting.
yeah, well, I wish you would have. I wish you would have seen. I would at least showed him the video. So
Can you still load it?
potentially, you're gonna have to give me a second.
Okay. So while Evo's looking up if he could load this video up, I just want to say I really appreciate everybody like hanging in with us in the beginning when we had no audio. Because
For real.
I literally looked over at Evo's laptop and I was like, is there a reason I don't see the mic bar moving? And my vision is like I can't see that far, and I looked over and it literally said that it looked like it said that it was muted, and I looked at Evo like, I just may chop Evo up into little bits tonight. That this may be the case. So I really appreciate everybody hanging in tight with us. And Christina Kelly, I just want to say also, I believe that this is the first time that you have joined our live, and I want to thank you for joining us. So then, wow, let's talk about it. I love this topic. Wait, Mr. Jones, what are you talking about?
I'm gonna load this, and this might just pop right in.
Okay, so if Evo loads this and this just pops right up, we'll just get to talking about it.
Right.
So yeah, Evo wanted to talk about. Does it pop right up?
There it is. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So this right here is what Evo wanted to talk about, and I will let him take the helm on this.
Okay. So
while I finish my wine.
All right. So this right here, it's not. It just played once.
It's fine. It's looping.
No, it's not.
It is. I'm looking at it.
What?
Oh.
Yeah, not on my end.
Okay. So good. You could do it again.
The thing is, I can't get it to play over.
That's fine. Just we got to see it once at least.
All right. So I don't know if you guys saw that or really understood what was going on here, but what that is Virgin Airlines, right? If you guys heard the Virgin Records, they're just a huge company. Virgin Mobile, it's all the same company, right?
Guys and ladies. I'm sorry, I just can't help myself.
What?
You just say guys a lot, and I always feel like I should address the ladies in the audience.
You know what? Thank you, because I have a terrible habit of doing that. So ladies and gentlemen,
and thank you, Christina.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen. So the company Virgin, Virgin Airlines, Virgin Mobile, Virgin Records, they have a Virgin Galactic division where they're it's about space travel, and they're trying to commercialize space travel, just like they would just like you commercialize air travel. They are creating the first space travel that you can do on a commercial basis, and it basically that video right there was their first successful flight in space travel. And what they do is that they take a plane really high up in the air, and mounted to the plane is like this little mini plane with a rocket attached to it, and the thing detaches from the plane and just shoots up into orbit, and it takes you out into orbit, and you can like be in orbit, I guess, for X amount of time, and then come back into orbit and then descend your way down into Earth. And currently it's $250,000, you know, just for any of you that just decided that
has a disposable income of $250,000.
You know, I know I have it on my bucket list, and you know, if any of you don't do it, then you're losers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, really. No, it's totally unaffordable, like really. But the idea is just it's amazing. And the reason I say it's amazing is because like everything else that is easily accessible to us now cost crazy amount of money when it first came out.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So that's why I find this so exciting, because I just know that right now, yes, it costs $250,000, but that's just because it's at the beginning, and eventually they're going to find out how to make it cheaper, better, more efficient, and it's going to be more accessible to the public. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to experience it in my lifetime where it's affordable, but
you think our children will be?
I think our children might be. And I think it's so cool that you can just decide on a date that you want to go just out into orbit.
You heard that, flat earthers?
Yes, you heard that, flat earthers.
You're going to take your girl or your guy on a date and show them that the earth is round.
Exactly. It's like, you know what? You listen, we're going to...
Because that will finally put that argument to rest.
We're like, can you imagine, like, we're on a date right now where, like, we're discussing, we're having a strong debate whether the earth is flat or round. You're like, you know what? Let's go find out. And you can just go jump on a flight and go check it out.
Yo, that would be nuts.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what is so exciting to me. Like, you can
okay, calm down, Beavis.
I just love the idea of it because what?
Okay, I'm sorry. Sometimes I read comments while you're talking to me, and
what happened?
Oh, he retracted it, but I read it already. So wait, George says Richard Branson is the founder of that shit.
Yes.
And he's the man. The guy has the brain of a genius. And Melissa says, I wouldn't even skydive, so money saved. And then Mr. Jones says, I wonder if you can make a space baby.
Ooh, I like that.
Conceive my child in space.
You know, when that
I'm gonna name my baby Saturn.
When that rocket hit, that G-force kick in, boy.
Oh my God. I can't. So Christina says, wait, Christina, you hitting it tonight. She says, $250,000 is what it costs to open a Dunkin' Donuts franchise. For a lot of people, that's a lot of money to go into space with that amount. That's sick.
Okay, so I'm just gonna let you on a little secret.
Okay.
Scrap that $250, get $10K, open yourself a Chick-fil-A franchise.
You could open a Chick-fil-A with $10K.
$10,000, Chick-fil-A all day.
And they're closed on Sundays.
Call me if you want any more business secrets.
You want any more financial advice?
Yes, I got you.
Evo is your man.
Yes. Chick-fil-A, $10,000. They will. It is a ball and chain. You're a slave to them, but you can franchise into Chick-fil-A for $10,000.
Wow. Listen, you guys know that we have. Oh wait, hold on a second. Listen, you guys know that we have to have our aliens and flat Earth conversation soon. Okay.
We will. No, but he's talking about us.
I know.
Like us as like.
I'm all for having those conversations, just not here on the live, because the one
But I
time.
think that's what he was talking about.
Okay, I'm just saying, because the one time that we went into those conversations, I'm 100% certain that we got shadow banned.
Oh, for sure we did.
On TikTok.
For sure we did.
Our views went from like 500 to 1,000 to 0. One of our videos was just like, it just stood at 0 for like 24 hours. I was just like, and it was the one where I showed the picture. It was the one where
can we not?
It was the one where I showed the picture of the alien. It was a fake alien. So Melissa says, so we're gonna go half on a Chick-fil-A?
I'm not sure.
Listen, I don't eat Chick-fil-A. I did once upon a time, and what I will say about Chick-fil-A is their service is impeccable.
Well, listen,
impeccable.
Okay, so the difference between
how do we go from talking about space to Chick-fil-A?
We were talking about this $250,000 franchise from McDonald's that Christina brought up, and so I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this, right? Good things ain't cheap, and cheap things ain't good. And if so, I'm assuming that $250,000 McDonald's franchise,
it's Dunkin' Donuts
or Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, I apologize. I want to say that $250,000 Dunkin' Donuts franchise, you get a lot more than you would for a $10,000 franchise. For a $10,000 Chick-fil-A franchise, you don't own anything. You just get to reap the benefits of what you would make if you own the franchise, but you don't actually own it. At the end of the day, everything belongs to them. Mm-hmm. And that's how it works with a franchise. You're like, you work for somebody else.
Yeah, you're a slave to the corporation.
Yes.
Because when I worked at Honda, we were all Honda dealerships are franchises of the corporation.
Right.
And they can reap the benefit of the financial lucrative that they can get from selling cars, but
yes,
they still have to stay within the parameters of what the corporation says that they have to stay. And that even goes down to like how the dealership looks as a whole. So like I could see that being like that could be problematic, because one of the things I can tell you that I remember specifically was after a certain amount of time, the corporation Honda expects the dealerships to have a certain look.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to remodel every so
Right.
often. And the franchise has to foot that bill. Honda
Right.
ain't giving you nothing. So I could see how that could potentially be problematic for them.
So, you know, I was under the impression that any changes made to the image, as far as advertising and promotion and anything like that, that's all supplied by the actual company,
No.
by the franchise.
Well, not through Honda, no.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
There is the facility I'm talking about, like the actual dealership. Like there is a certain guideline that the corporation wants. There's a level of unity that they want amongst dealerships. Like they want people to go into X dealership and Y dealership and kind of get the same feel, even though they're owned by different people, because it's part of their brand. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
So Brianna says I went to one in Jersey after work today. That's funny. The employees were wearing these clear rain pods. They look so funny. Oh, so you're here in New Jersey. And I have taken my kids to Chick-fil-A, and I remember one time me and my son, I want to say we waited a half an hour for his food. Half an hour. But when it came out, it was fresh. I ate Chick-fil-A. I want to say I ate Chick-fil-A 2014, 2015.
Was that when we ate it?
Yes, and we remember
Yeah, we didn't feel good after that.
We didn't feel good
Yeah.
after it. Our stomachs were like, no, don't do that. And Mr. Jones says we also can talk about the Galactic Federation. You talking about in Lilo and Stitch? Lilo and Stitch was the Galactic Federation.
Well, he also said somewhere in there that I saw that.
No, he was talking about space. And George says the remodel of a dealerships, no matter what brand, is paid for by the owner. Okay, they will chip in depending on how many units you sell. 100% true. And then Brianna says, I'm from New York, work in the city, but I feel that gas up in Mawa because it's cheap. And Stephanie, thank you for joining the stream. I love that people come into.
So he also said right there, he goes, Evo, that's exactly what I'm talking about. When I was saying that he wanted to have that conversation, but offline. Off the air, yeah.
Offline?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're actually coming to like the end of our live right now. I'm actually glad that you got to talk about
Me
your
too,
little
yeah.
space,
I
your
was
little
excited.
space
Yeah.
exploration.
I like those. Let me know if you guys like that stuff, because we could bring some more of that stuff into the live. I'm just not sure because it really doesn't tie into like all the the controversial talk that we do.
Yeah, because our brand is Shit Talk Fridays, drinks with a splash of controversy.
Yeah, but I'm very much into like tech and all the new stuff that's coming out.
So am I,
Yeah.
and you know that I am. But sometimes it's hard to kind of like make it interesting. I want to ask you this before we end the live, and I'll ask the ladies and the gentlemen in the audience. Let's say that space exploration, as far as just like doing it leisurely. Let's say we're able to see that in our lifetime, and it's affordable. Is that something you see yourself doing?
I would love more than anything to be able to briefly go into orbit, and
That's what she said.
yeah, she would definitely love to briefly go into orbit, just momentarily, so that I can have a different perspective. So there's just to get, not to get too serious, but there's a show called One Strange Rock.
Yeah, which is the, what is it called? The person who narrates it is Will Smith.
All right. So Will Smith narrates this show called One Strange Rock.
Which it's amazing, and Evo and I highly recommend it.
It's an amazing show, and the basis of it is it's the perspective of multiple astronauts and how they see life once they went into orbit and they were able to look back at the planet, right?
Yeah.
From a different perspective. And the way that they describe Earth is a perspective that I would love to have, because I believe that there's an immense power in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And not to get too deep, but I would just love for a moment to step outside of what I see on it every day and look at this planet as a whole.
Yeah.
And see it that way.
And as you say that, I just think of that episode when Wolowitz from Big Bang Theory goes into space. So wait, hold on. So Melissa says that evil. Yes, I like that stuff. Brianna says we should talk about COVID, vaccines, and things opening up this summer. Actually, in New Jersey, the mask mandate indoors was lifted today.
Yes, it was.
A friend of mine who works in a mall said that he saw people walking around without a mask, and he's not sure if he's ready to see that just yet. I'm going to say this. I will continue to wear a mask, not because of COVID, because I don't like people seeing my face. I love going into a store and wearing a mask.
You know what's funny,
I
right?
feel like a ninja.
I love the fact that I could make funny faces at people behind my mask.
Oh my God.
You literally be looking at somebody and be like grinning my teeth like.
And Melissa says Christian would force me, and I'm assuming she talks about going into space. And she said, "Good one, Jay." And I think she's assuming when I said that's what she says. George says, "Number 6, are you an astronaut? Because I'm about to take you into orbit tonight." Oh my God. George is on another one tonight.
Yo, George got all the girls back in the club days, boy. He was hitting them hard with these lines, baby.
So Christina says, absolutely not. It's amazing. It would be a regular air flight. It scares me. So no, I do not think I could handle it. And Mr. Jones, you know I like that space shit.
Yeah, boy.
I can neither confirm nor deny if I would do it. I'm not 100% sure, but I will say this. In my top 10 movies is Interstellar. And the thought of space exploration is intriguing to me, because if I could listen to Hans Zimmer while I'm in space, I don't know, that may just be like that may just fucking be the icing on the cake for me.
You know what though? And I would see you doing that. I would see you having your AirPods on, listening to Hans Zimmer. As you went into orbit?
Do you know that every time I'm in a plane and we're about to take off, I play the Interstellar soundtrack and I play the song Mountains?
If it does that for you, imagine
every single time.
Imagine you hitting that crest where you peak above that thin blue line of the atmosphere, and all of a sudden above you is nothing but blackness, and below you is blue atmosphere.
I just want to, and then we'll wrap it up for the night. I just want to implore all the people with us tonight. The next time you're on a plane and your pilot is about to take off, as they're taxiing down the runway, put on the song Mountains by Hans Zimmer. That song goes perfectly with a takeoff. So as you start to climb in altitude, the song increases in intensity. And right when you reach cruising altitude, the song like tapers off. And it like gives me it calms my soul as it's happening, because I'm okay with flight, but I don't do too well with turbulence. Right. So sometimes the song helps me with it, but at the same time, I feel like I'm taking off into space when I listen to it. So the next time you're in a plane, listen to that song, Mountains, Hans Zimmer from the Interstellar soundtrack. But and Melissa says, every time I watch Interstellar, I cry. Hello, my top 10 movies. It's in my top 10, and it was added more recently because Interstellar is within the last decade. But anyway, that actually brings us to the end of our live tonight. Yes, and I'm so happy that we made it, because I actually think that I almost cut Evo tonight. In the 26 minutes into the live.
Puerto Rican just was about to come out of you.
I don't know if it has anything to do about my ethnicity.
Puerto Rican will cut you. For sure.
Anyway, I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. Yes. We appreciate all of your live chat. We appreciate
all of you for hanging tough while we had no audio.
But I honestly
love you for that.
I had so much fun with everybody tonight, and George and Christina. You did it for me tonight, the two of you. And I just thank everybody. And until next Friday, maybe we'll talk about, because Brianna was saying we should talk about COVID vaccines and things opening up this summer.
Yeah.
I will say I just took a trip to Miami and it was litty titty.
And I might bring you a little bit more of the latest in tech.
Yes, which I will look forward to.
Yeah.
So until we see you next Friday, peace out.